We had a client that we worked with, and she was really struggling with profitability. She kept raising tuition. She actually did 3 tuition increases within a 15-month cycle, and she still could not catch up. So I helped her work with our 6 money leaks in schools, and she only used 3 of the 6 money leaks and cut her expenses by 50%. 50. She did not fire anyone. She did not slash any of her programs, and she did not work more hours. Again, the 6 money leaks are not hacks or spreadsheets. These are patterns. They are small decisions that feel so normal that your school does, but they quietly drain your school's profit. So if you've ever wondered why you're working so hard, but still not seeing the return, this is your first step to clarity. Click the link in the show notes and find out what it's actually costing you. Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, a place for insightful conversations about building sustainable schools of excellence. Join me each week as we explore the importance of leading with your values, creating impact, and leaving a lasting legacy. My goal on the show is to provide you with clarity, elevate your mindset, and equip you with practical strategies and inspiration. I'm Chani Olshansky, a proud mother of 4, a former New Yorker, now savoring sunny Florida vibes. With a professional journey spanning 18 years across all levels of school leadership, I bring nuanced insight that delve into the intricate details of running a center, as well as the broader visionary aspects of leadership. Thank you for joining me for this conversation. Let's build a legacy of excellence together. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Schools of Excellence podcast. I'm excited to kick off this brand new series called Veteran versus New Staff. And the way that I've really divided this series is in 3 core buckets where I see some of the biggest differentiators between veteran staff and new staff. So today's episode is going to be all about parent and child engagement and how the mindset of the veteran versus the newbie, how it's different, and how to really support the veteran staff and the new staff when it comes to parent and child engagement. Next week's episode is going to be all about professional development opportunities and how to create opportunities for both veteran and newbies, and then also understanding the differentiating factors associated with that. And then the last episode we're going to do is around leadership and decision-making in relation to veteran and new staff. So let's first start by diving in. And I want to create a frame for you where you can start to see what a veteran teacher is, what's a new teacher, and why it's so important to stop subscribing to cookie cutter models that really don't have any differentiation, any specificity in the way that we support these particular staff. So let's talk about the mindset of a staff, veteran staff for a second, okay? Veteran staff are experienced, okay? They have unique expertise. And so because they have this culmination of years of experience, they've developed a deep knowledge of the school community, the curriculum, and their teaching practices. So this is one of the hallmarks of a veteran teacher. Another hallmark of a veteran teacher is the investment in the school. So veteran staff have dedicated a significant portion of their careers to a specific school, right? They've established strong connections with colleagues, with students, with families. And so there's a certain investment in the school. The other mindset of a veteran teacher is their desire for recognition. Okay, after years of service, veteran staff are seeking recognition for their contributions, for their achievements, and they really value the acknowledgement around their expertise and their leadership and the impact that they've had on the school. Another unique hallmark of veterans is institutional knowledge. So this is a huge thing of what I talk about in relation to how that correlates with retention, how that correlates with profit, how that correlates with brand reputation, and really brand equity inside of the school community and then the community at large. When someone has institutional knowledge of an organization, right, they have this historical context of the school's evolution, the challenges, the successes, and so they play a really critical role in preserving and really passing on this knowledge to newer staff members. They really become a part of the storytelling of the school's journey and its evolution, which is such a huge part of creating loyalty and just brand connection. And so institutional knowledge is a hallmark for you to recognize, is this person a veteran in my center? So now let's talk a little bit about the mindset of new staff. Okay. New staff are in the learning and adaptation phase, right? They are in the process of learning, of adapting to their roles. They are learning expectations. They typically will experience a very steep learning curve as they chart unfamiliar territory. Okay. So they are not coming with all this expertise and experience. They are coming into very unfamiliar territory. Another component of a newer teacher is they are seeking support and guidance, right? They are looking for colleagues that they can connect with and go hip to hip with as they acclimate to this new environment. And they are seeking a lot of reassurance as they develop their teaching practices. Again, these are all mindsets and you understanding like how to approach differently the veteran versus the newbie. Okay. Let's talk about what's another hallmark of a newer teacher. New staff members are building confidence in their ability as educators. So they really need validation, encouragement, and recognition as their efforts to strive to become better need to go noticed so that they can build their confidence chips. Okay. The final component of a new teacher is the desire to establish relationships. They are really hunting to build trust, rapport, and connections within the school community. They really want to integrate into their new roles. And many of them do not have good role models for what it takes to actually build authentic and deep trusting relationships inside of any community, but specifically the school community. So this is just a little bit high-level mindset of the difference between the veteran and the newbie. So let's go a little bit further. I want to share with you some of the research that's been done in some of the core categories that you'll really see some really core differences between veteran and new teachers. One of the areas are teaching practices. There was in the Journal of Human Resources, there's a research that was done. The research was why public schools lose teachers. And in this study, they were assessing veteran and new teachers. And what they noticed in the research is they found that veteran teachers typically will demonstrate more confidence and expertise in their teaching practices compared to newer teachers, right? They've developed a certain repertoire of effective instructional strategies and techniques over the year. And newer teachers are more likely to experiment with innovative teaching methods and technologies. So one of the differences that you'll see with veterans and newbies, and again, this is not a black and white all or nothing approach. This is what typically will happen. And I want to interject here for a second and go off topic in that as you move through this series, I want you to be cautious of applying the all or nothing mindset to this, right? Which is called totalistic thinking, which is it's always like this or it's never like this. These are some common benchmarks to look at, but this is by no means a complete diagnostic around, and this is the way to deal with this, and this is the way to deal with that. I'm going to give you a lot of different strategies and a lot of different ways to look at this, and I'm going to invite you to level up as a leader and discern what makes sense for you. Okay. So this is one of the studies that was done around teaching practices. Okay. Another area, and I'm going to be talking about this next week's episode on professional development needs. And this was another research that was done by the American Educational Research Journal, and they spoke about the professional development needs and how newer teachers require more intensive mentoring and a lot more acclimation to the different pedagogical skills that they need. And veteran teachers have very distinct professional development needs, and that they're looking for opportunities for up-leveling what they already know and also understanding how to bring technology integration into their roles. Let's talk about retention. Okay. Another component where you see the difference between veteran and newbies. Okay. This is another study that was done by Educational Research. It was a study, it's called Teacher Recruitment and Retention. And what they found is that veteran teachers are more likely to stay in the profession longer term, while newer teachers are often at a higher risk of leaving within the first few years, mainly due to job dissatisfaction, burnout, lack of support, and very challenging working conditions. So this is all just to help lay the foundation and understanding like how veteran and newbies are so different and how the approach to it in how you support them and how you do one-on-ones and how you do classroom observations and how you mentor your directors to lead them and how you as a director, if you're listening to this, lead the veterans and the newbies. This is like something that I talk about all the time in the Schools of Excellence membership and our Directors Inner Circle and our Ogres HQ program. We really have to understand how to stop doing cookie cutter professional development and training and support. Like, you need to understand who the person in front of you is so that you could properly support them. Let's talk about parent and child engagement here and how it differs between veteran and newbies. And I'm going to give you a lot of different ideas. Okay. Let's talk about child engagement. The veteran teachers have really honed their skills in engaging and motivating children through years of practice, right? They've built this whole toolbox of different strategies that they can pull into and tailor to the needs and interests of each individual child. So they've built this toolbox. The new teacher does not have that toolbox yet. They are seeking guidance in what are other strategies that I can use to support this particular child. And so in the way that you deal with the child engagement or the child's behaviors when you're working with veteran versus newbie is really providing opportunities for the veteran teachers to, because one of the kind of hiccups that happen is because they have such a repertoire, when something doesn't work with a particular child, many veteran teachers will start to blame the child. They'll start to say things like, I've never seen this in my 30-year career, or this is so difficult, or whatever it is. And they start to shift responsibility to the child instead of understanding, one second, this is a different opportunity. This is a different child. This is a different parent. This is a different year. And so I need to look at this from a different perspective. And so the veteran teacher might need a lot more coaching from the perspective of, yes, you have a lot of experience and you've built up a lot of muscle memory in specific areas and how to work with particular children. And now you're given this particular child. One of the stories I always say, whenever I'm doing a training specifically for veteran teachers, or I'm doing a training that's specific for newbies, or I have a combination, I always say this story. Where one of the first years that I went to be a teacher, maybe it was like, I don't know, and definitely the first 5 years of teaching, I went to this workshop and there was the presenter there was telling a story how when she was 19, it was her first year teaching. She was teaching at elementary school and she called up her dad, who was a principal already for 40 years. He'd been in the classroom for many years and now he's leading like a huge school in New York City. And she called up her dad and she's like, I really wish I had 40 years of experience already. Like, I feel so ill-equipped. Like, I have these 19 children. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And her dad told her, the children this year need the 19-year-old version of you. And in 40 years from now, when you're 60, the children that you teach, granted that you stay in this profession, and I hope that you do, will need the 40-year experience version of you. So why do I say this story? When you have inexperienced newer teachers or veterans, we really can get stuck in our heads. And so when there's this particular child that's struggling, it's telling the new teacher, listen, I know this feels really hard, but this child needs you. They are in your class because they need you, your experience, your expertise, your love, your heart, your soul. They need you. And the veteran teacher who's struggling, who just wants this little kid out of her class or his class, telling the teacher, this child needs you. They need your years of wisdom and discernment and experience. And why do I say this? This is not about kind of just over grandiosing the teacher or making her feel better or manipulating her into wanting to do something. If you believe this, and I believe this to be true, but if you believe this to be true, that a child steps foot into the classroom, there's this sync that happens where this child was meant to be in your classroom, which means you have a specific mission with this particular child. Now, if you don't believe in that, please don't tell that to your teachers because they will see right through your crap. But if you do believe in that concept, then share that heart with your staff. Tell them that. Okay, that's all enough for this. Parent and community connection. Veteran teachers have established a certain social standing and status with parents and community members over their years of service, right? And many of them may have very strong communication skills and very effective ways in connecting with stakeholders. Newer staff are still learning that, oh, this parent does this and this, they're in this process of building relationships. And they also are very new at communication skills, right? Just, okay, how do I deal when the person does X, Y, and Z? And what do I do when this happens? And what do I do when this happens? Communication is something that we're always learning and always getting better at. And so when we're looking at how to support veteran and new teachers through this journey, one of the first things I say is telling the young staff, never stop experimenting. Every parent, every child is so unique, and it is so essential to be adaptable and willing to try new approaches to meet their needs, right? We cannot hesitate to be like, I've tried everything already. You haven't, right? You haven't. And so being comfortable with looking at both sides of that. So let's take this a step further when it comes to veteran and new staff. The mindset of the veteran, while I explained this in the beginning of the episode, there's no, and this is one of the reasons why can sometimes feel ambiguous to listen to a conversation like this, because there aren't these hard and fast rules. There aren't these hard and fast rules where it's like, for every veteran, this is the best approach, or for every newbie, this is the best approach, because you can have some veterans who act like newbies, and you can have some newbies who can really already act like veteran teachers already, right? So it's very important to understand these two concepts, but also understand the individualistic approach that is needed to supporting your different types of staff that are coming into your building. And let's go back to child and parent engagement here for a second. I want to give you a couple more ideas. When it comes to child engagement, the newer teacher sometimes comes from a place of, I wish I could just figure this out already. I wish this wasn't so hard, right? With child and with parent relationships. I wish I just knew the answer to this. They're looking for kind of this magical formula that they wish they just knew it, because the discomfort of the not knowing and the trial and error, which is the failing, is very harsh on their very fragile egos and their very fragile self-confidence. And so that's why when things are challenging, they're like, just take it out, because it's almost like ambushing their self-worth and their self-confidence. And so they just want the problem to go away with the parent or the child. With the veteran teacher, when they're struggling with certain things, it starts to attack a little bit of their pride and their status, because veteran teachers they've established a certain status inside of the school, and status is huge in the educational world. We all know this. And so they've established certain status, a certain kind of level of mentorship inside of the school. And so they feel almost as if they shouldn't struggle, or they've earned the right not to struggle. So sometimes I get stuck in this trap inside of the business. I'll find myself where I'll be struggling with something, or I'll launch a new product or something and it won't, something hard will happen, or I'll hire a new team member and it won't work out. And there's a part of my ego that you shouldn't be dealing with this. You've already paid your dues. You've already had so much hardship. This shouldn't be happening to you. There's almost this sense of entitlement of, after I get to a certain place, I shouldn't struggle anymore. Things shouldn't be hard for me anymore. And obviously that's so much ego that drives that. And so this is the beauty, again, of mentorship, of listening to podcasts like this, where it keeps us humble. It gives us this humility check of, look, wait 1 second. Nobody gave you a ticket to, you've graduated now, nothing in life will ever be hard for you again, right? And it's laughable when you hear me saying that. And so sometimes the veteran teachers can get stuck in that mindset. And so the thing that I want to leave you with here is, as a leader, here's what I want you to be reflective of when it comes to the veteran and the new staff. What signals are you sending your teachers that are subconsciously creating a certain mindset around, I shouldn't have to struggle, things shouldn't be hard for me, or I don't know why I'm dealing with this, or this is so unfair, or whatever it is, right? And the reason I'm saying that specifically in the context of this episode around veteran and new staff is, as we go into some of the other episodes in this series, a lot of the experience that the veteran and new staff will have is directly correlated to how you are feeding that particular. And so, yes, veteran teachers carry a lot of weight. We like our veterans. I love our veteran clients. I absolutely love our legacy clients. They've been with us for years. I know their stories. I know their family. I know their kids. I know their pets. I know so much about them. I've seen the arc of their journey. Like, it is so joyful for me to get to spend time with our legacy clients. And I also always want to make sure that I'm hanging out with our newer clients, because I want to get to know our newer people as well, not just hanging out with the legacy group. Or with our client fet, we've built relationships over time. And so as a leader, ask yourself some of these questions and be reflective around some subtle messages. Are you sending certain vibes that you like certain teachers over other teachers? And again, you might not be doing this, and that's fine. That's great. The point of the podcast is to elevate your thinking. It's to get you to think critically about things. And so I hope today's conversation really just started to open your mind to the different ways that you want to look at veteran and newbie teachers when it comes to child and parent relationships. Next episode, we're going to go into professional development opportunities. And so I hope you join us. If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school, I would love if you can do two things for me. One, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And two, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the place to learn how to build a school of excellence. And I would be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support makes this show to be able to be listened by the thousands of other school leaders all around the world. Thanks so much for listening, for giving us your time and attention each and every week. And I appreciate that you have joined us. If your accountant has ever told you to cut back on professional development or slash your teacher appreciation budget or your staff development budget just so you could stay afloat, or has told you, hey, you probably can't go invest in that program, please listen. The problem is not that you're spending too much money on your people or yourself or your investment or your support system. It's that your school has invisible money leaks that are draining your profit, leaks that no spreadsheet will ever catch or accountant. So I created the 6 money leaks of schools that show you the 6 core areas that schools lose money every single month without realizing it. If you close even one of them, your profits will start to soar without sacrificing your team. Go get it now and stop blaming the things that are actually building your school.